So, I don't know if this video got screwed up again. Probably have to start over. So I drove my tractor down here to get this hay rack. I'm going to put a Trump sign on the back of it, park it up by the road. So the hitch on this hay rack has gone down into the ground inside of 15 years. That is 18, 19 inches, 20 inches. Where's the, there we go. Down to the hitch. What's going on here? In school they told us 100 years to build 1 inch of topsoil. The tires are down about 4 inches. But maybe because they're full of air and they're still pumped up, I don't know what's going on. Why this thing is down like that, I don't know. The other wagon's same way. I got another one here. It's been here as long. Hay racks. I quit haying probably 2009 or 10 and went to round bales. I think I gotta get a chain and pull this wagon out backwards. I'll never get that out of the ground. I got to the end of it, but I ain't gonna be able to lift that out. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and get the chain, pull this thing out backwards. Built this hay rack back in the early 2000s on an old running gear. I think it's a gear my dad bought brand new from Tigan's store. Used to be at Oslo, Minnesota, kind of unincorporated town. Tires are all up. One on that corner is kind of low, but still up. There's a dogwood, them unforgivable bushes that grow everywhere. So we used to farm this. This is about 5 acres, all the way to that tree line way back there, and down to this brush. And it's in the middle. It's very wet, and it's hard to get down here because that's all uphill, and it's a steep hill. You have to go around the way. On that end, it's so dry, nothing really grows good. In the middle here, it's very wet. But where I'm at, this chunk here, it's always dry. You can always farm this part. So I've been haying it for years, but I haven't hayed this in maybe 2 years. Well, I think I did. I hayed some of it off of here last year. I did. But it goes all the way up into up to those trees. Kind of a little peninsula part there. I was going to fence it off. I put posts there. I was going to have more cattle, and then never really got to it. Had cattle, but I kept farming this. And we farmed that for years off and on, and pastured it sometimes, hay it sometimes. It's been a few years since we put a row crop in there, probably 15 years, I would say. We had oats in there the last time. And I did, not my dad. This is my dad's ground though. But I suppose if I plowed it now, the government will say you're sod busting because you haven't plowed it in so long, and they want to claim the land. Okay, here's my WD. I just got this running this year. Did some hay raking with it. We'll drive it back up to the buildings. Hope there ain't any other equipment around here. I know there is right there. It's an old John Deere digger. You should get that pulled out. That's sunk in the ground for a mile. This Chinese fender on this side vibrates terribly. I mean, it's bad enough you gotta howl in these old WDs. That thing, you gotta hold it like this to make it quiet. This is an original fender. That don't make any noise. So So this tractor had been sitting for 10 years or so, maybe not quite that long, pretty close. I had overhauled it 25 years ago or more, and it burned a valve. I don't think I got 500 hours on the thing. I doubt it. And it had a burned valve. So I took the head to a rebuilder. The old guy that did it the first time, he's long gone. The rebuilder told me it's probably because his equipment was wore out and didn't get the seats straight completely. And so I had it rebuilt. I decided to, since I had it apart, honed it, doing some new rings, and slipped in some new bearings just because the other ones looked like they had gotten dirt in. Back when I did this, you know, I wasn't as cleansly as you should be probably. This time, everything was spotless when I put it together. Steam clean, every passage blown off. Or just used oil and just didn't worry about it. Just slapped it together, which it ran for a long time on that. The bearings weren't worn, but they had scratches in it. But anyway, so that's where we're at with my Trump stickers from along. I gotta erase that Pence part though. Okay, I'll be back. So we're headed back down. I got a chain. I don't think I've ever had this tractor on any of my videos before. I don't remember. I don't think so. And I haven't put out a video in quite a while. Not that I've ever done this for, nothing's monetized or never did it to get subscribers. I got a few. But I did it for my own, almost like record keeping or reminiscing or something. Maybe when I get old sitting in a nursing home I can look at them. I don't know. For my kids. But anyway, these governors are staying quick on these WDs, and the 45s even more so. And this just got a WD crank, 175 pistons, which puts it about the same compression ratio as standard WD pistons. The 175 had longer stroke, like it, but tall pistons, about the same as a WD piston. Slightly taller, but with a cup. I remember my great uncle was going to buy a, I think it was a C or CA. I think it was a CA. I don't remember this because I don't know if I was even born yet. And he went to Waltham Equipment. And they had a CA. They had a BAC case too. It's either a C or CA. And then they had a BAC case. And my uncle was, you know, getting older, and the salesman talked him into buying the BAC, which they promptly broke the front end off cultivating with it because of the way they mount their cultivators. But told him that this little Allis got too jumpy of a governor for him, and he wouldn't like it because he wouldn't be able to control it nice. Why am I driving on this side? I'm gonna pull it out backwards. So he bought the BAC, and they had a front mounted cultivator, and it goes through the cast iron frame on a BAC, and they hit a big rock, and it twisted the cultivator frame and busted the casting on the front end. I think he welded it up, and I believe they had a sale back in the late 60s. We got the auction bill, an old one, framed. Several of them actually sold their cattle, and this land used to belong to my great grandpa and my great uncles. I don't know who actually officially owned it at the time, but my dad bought it from my great uncles. My great grandpa was gone before I was born. But 120 acres here. Back when a regular guy could buy something like this, like $200, or I think it was $200 an acre in 1971 he bought this. And my mom, you know, worked on the assembly line at IBM. And my dad worked on the assembly line. They weren't married yet. In fact, at first they didn't know each other. They each bought a new car back before they knew each other. My dad bought I believe it was a 63 Chevy SS convertible, the 327. And my mom had bought a 62 and a half, I believe it was a Ford Galaxy with a 6-cylinder in it. Hang on, I got this chain. So they bought them brand new. That was in the, like, you know, 63, 62 and a half. Dad's was a 63, mom's was a 62 and a half. And then he bought a 60-acre farm between Hayfield and Casson when they got married, soon after they got married. And then in 71, he bought this 120 acres. And he sold the 60 after a couple years because he never liked that farm. It was like gumbo soil. This is much more mellow soil here. That should be far enough to lock the brakes. Lock them so I can forget about them and smell the brakes when I get to the building site. Wouldn't be the first time. Hang on, I'll take the chain off. We got it pulled out. So this, whoops, I hope that messed up here. Hang on. So this hitch on this wagon was buried 18 to 20 inches deep after 15 years or so sitting. I don't understand how that happened, but it did. Somebody can explain to me, because in school they said 100 years to build an inch of topsoil. Now the tires are pumped up on this, and that ain't sank down that far. Because some of this other equipment sank down quite a ways, but none of it that far. Why are these wagon hitches down that far? That I would like to know. So I'll show you. I had to dig down. There's how far the wagon tires are, probably a few inches. I don't know if you can see that. A few inches in there. This is where the hitch was. The end of that hitch, this is the main pole. I don't know if you can see this. I'm trying to hold this camera right without accidentally hitting the off button. So the main pole was there, 21 inches. The part where you put the hitch in was there, where you put the pin in. About 19 inches. I can't tell if I got the, here, I got my finger in the way. I can't see anything with all this sunlight here. So I had to dig down all this dirt here, some dirt there, to get the hitch out from 15 years of sitting here. I'm holding this camera all wrong. It's just my phone. So what's going on? That's my dad's old tractor that I got as a basket case, stuck, rusted out, parts stolen off of it. They're robbed off by Dad. Took me a few years to get it going, and another bunch of years to paint it. I think I painted around 2005 or 6, somewhere in there. Before 2008, when I put the lean-to on the shed, because I would have painted it in there. I painted it outside. Look at this. My dad came up with this idea Sorry, I keep covering the camera. That's barn cleaner chain with tie rod. I don't know if that's tie rod, but hard steel or cold rolled steel as a pin hitch. Did that back when he went to Betts Ag School back in the mid 70s. And then we built some. He gave away a lot. Just saved a few for himself. Gave some to uncles and stuff like that. Let's see. I have to lock that stupid brake again. Yep. You're right about there. I'm getting old and decrepit. I've had back surgery and all that, so it's hard to maneuver on the WD. Oops. Come on. Not one of those can't find them, grind them guys, am I? We'll see if that gets me where I gotta be. I'm gonna mount a Trump sign on that, pull it up by the road. Hopefully nobody steals my wagon. 2020, you know how liberal Democrats are. They stole my sign, ripped it up, took it off in pieces, and just left little scraps behind. So we'll see what happens. Probably steal my whole wagon. I gotta learn to hold this thing with my right hand. I keep covering up the camera with my left. This thing about these old tractors, you can just push them with your hand and move them. Grab that. Tape measure. I do like driving a WD. It's an easy tractor to learn on. If you're a little crippled up, might not be the easiest one to sit on, but none of them old tractors are easy. But a WD is a special situation. Great tractor though. My dad farmed with a WD and WD-45 for quite a while. Got his D17 in '73. Thought that was a lemon at first because he thought his WD-45 could do everything the 17 could do. But that 45 had I think it had an M&W kit in it. When he cracked the block on that, you know, farmers used to drain the water, not run antifreeze, some farmers, and my dad was one. He learned a lesson there. Forgot to drain it one time and cracked the block. But patched up, traded it off eventually for a D17, which the rear hydraulic cylinder for the hitch that's inside the rear housing blew a seal out right away. That's why he got soured on the D17. But if you ask him today, D17's his all-time favorite tractor, followed close by a WD-45. He grew up on International and Case, but he said, he's always said, he's 84 now, that he never would have wanted to farm with them after he had those Allises. He said a 45 could outwork an M. He grew up, they had a brand new M, Super M I should say, a fairly new M, brand new Super M, brand new Super C. He always did like the Super C. And they'd haul manure out. In the winter time, they'd take the tractor until you couldn't go anymore and then take the horses. The manure sat on a sled with planks. and you, as you go, you turn the planks over to dump manure. Now that's a slow way of doing things. And then come back and get another load. Of course, you weren't milking a whole bunch of cattle, milking a handful. Had some chickens, and anyhow, I'll be back after I get this thing mounted up. That digger is the best digger I ever owned. It says that it's got the German occupation name on it, but it's really an Allis design digger. And that thing went through so much corn stalks this spring, I couldn't believe it went through it, but it did. My old digger wouldn't have even touched it. It would have been one giant dump rake. Alright, be back. So, I'm just using these little shingle nails here. Hopefully that's square with the world. It's gonna have to do when you're by yourself. So I'll finish nailing it. We'll see if some liberal comes along and destroys it like they did in 2020. Alright.